Hello, everybody. It's Love Coach Scott Thomas. A little sleepy this morning, but very happy to be with you. And happy Secret Sunday. This is always such a powerful time of the year. Solstice, Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year's, end of the year, start of a new year. Wow. And certainly for me, a big part of this year has been all the online shows that I've done. I think like most of us, we had no idea what 2020 was going to be, did we? We had no idea. And when the pandemic hit, I kind of hit the ground running creating online shows because I realized pretty early on that people were going to be home. A lot of their usual forms of entertainment and even inspiration were taken away. A lot of people can't go to church, certainly no festivals, conferences, sporting events, even movies. So I got busy creating online shows, and I'm grateful that so many of them have been successful, and we've reached, hundreds of thousands of people. So for the end of the year, I wanted to provide some of my favorite moments from these shows that I did. And of course, a lot of other people have been involved in creating the shows, mostly Deborah Giusti partnering with me on Saturday Night Live, Roxy, and now Trish partnering with me on Straight Talk, and all the love coaches and other people that help to make all these shows happen. So welcome, everybody. Certainly really appreciate we've got some people in the Zoom room with me. And so definitely want to see people's comments, thoughts, questions. I thought it would be really wonderful to start today's show. Usually I start with a meditation, but I thought it would be wonderful to start with Krishna Das, who did a beautiful chant for us on Saturday Night Live. So I'm going to pull that video up. And I'm kind of imagining playing about 5 or 6, actually 6 of my favorite videos. So here is Krishna Das, and share screen. Definitely make sure that sound is working. All right, let's really drop in to the incredible music of this incredible being, Krishna Das.
Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Jai Ram Ram Jai 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 Ram Jai Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Sita Ram 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 Jai Ram Jai 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 Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Ram
This is live now. This is me live. We're going to be going back and forth, mostly showing videos of some of the highlights of the amazing people that I've had the blessing to connect with through Saturday Night Alive. And again, I want to thank my partner, Deborah Giusti, who's done so much to make that happen. You know, one of the things that's been kind of cool about my life is I've met a lot of incredible people over the years. For many years, I was producing television in Los Angeles. And for about 15 years, I was producing programming for teenagers. But then for about 7 years, I kind of morphed into producing spiritually based, metaphysical, mystical programming for adults, and met a lot of the kind of spiritual leaders and teachers of our time. And I got to know Ram Dass very, very well. He actually lived in Marin. He and I helped to create a camp together. I had, for 11 years, I ran a camp at Shane Fonda's ranch in Santa Barbara. And then Ram Dass and some of his friends wanted to start a camp for teenagers, and they called on me to help out. I got to know Ram Dass, and he invited me to come meditate with him at his home in San Anselmo. And then when he had his stroke and he moved to Maui, as fate would have it, he was living very close to where I always go to when I'm in Maui, and got a chance to spend time with him then. And so, of course, Ram Dass passed recently, and I had a brief conversation with Krishna Das about that, and I just want to kind of share that with you as well, because Krishna Das adds a very interesting piece of understanding. So here we go with that little bit here.
You're a very important spiritual leader for so many of us. And then now with the passing of our beloved Ram Dass this year, you know, we're looking to you, and people look to you, not just for your music, but just wondering if you have any wisdom or insight you want to share during this most unique year 2020 that we're all experiencing together.
Well, my first piece of wisdom is don't look to me. I'm just singing. It's a tough time. The whole world is full of fear and anxiety. You can't escape it. You know, we spend most of our lives paying some attention to our state of mind, but not that much. And now we can't escape it. So it's a very powerful time for all of us, and we really do have to dedicate ourselves and commit to finding that peace inside, at least trying to calm ourselves down, trying to take the energy out of all those knee-jerk reactions that come at us and that we're part of all day long. Not just for ourselves, but for everyone we come in contact with. We're all so interconnected that we may not be aware of it, but a lot of times we internalize these feelings of fear and anxiety, and we think it's just my own stuff, right? But it's not, it's everyone. This mind space that we're all in is filled with so much unknowing and so much fear, so much anxiety and distress. Each one of us has to do the best we can to calm ourselves down and keep turning within again and again. And it's a powerful time for practice. It really is. And I'm just so pissed that Ram Dass left us before this, because we could really use him now. But, you know, he was so at ease and so full of love and sweetness as he dropped this whatever this is, you know, this body, that it was his time, and he went so graciously and gratefully and lovingly into his next incarnation. So we can learn a lot from that, for sure. A very powerful message to us all.
Oh, that whole beautiful message you gave us a long time ago of fierce grace.
Fierce grace.
Isn't COVID fierce grace for us to slow down, like you're saying?
Yeah. One funny thing about Fierce Grace, you know, when he first had the stroke, he would say that Maharaji had stroked him, so to speak.
Right.
And he went on with that kind of feeling for quite a while. But when he went back to India, the only time after he had the stroke in the wheelchair, and he met Siddhima, who was Maharaji's great disciple, great devotee. And she said, Ramdas, Maharaji did not give you the stroke. He would never do that. The stroke was your karma, but the grace is the strength he gives you to overcome the effects of that negative karma, of that heavy physical karma. And Ramdas really, I mean, you know, for him, for us, you know, we think about it a little bit, okay, we'll meditate, how do we feel? Yeah, he 24/7, 365. He had no escape from the physical pain, from that wheelchair, and he really became, we used to tease him, I used to tease him, I said, you finally become who we thought you were 40 years ago. And he would laugh, you know, he would laugh.
Uh,
So he really overcame, he became so humble and so open and so willing to take assistance because he needed help for everything. He couldn't even turn in bed anymore with 2 torn rotator cuffs and hip surgery. Everything he needed to do, he needed help. And that's not easy. And he overcame all that ego stuff, and he was really so full of grace and love towards the end. It was extraordinary, really beautiful.
What an amazing story, huh? One of my favorite parts of our shows is when sometimes there's a chance for that kind of little extra, not expected conversation or something that comes out that we learn. And gosh, hearing this again just reminds me, because Ram Dass has been such a precious part of my life, and probably for so many of us. And to hear that from someone who knew him so well, and to really be reminded of how he managed that incredible physical pain. Really grateful to see how many people are in the Zoom room. Hi, Bonnie, Frode, Jasmine, Kent, Lorna, Rachel, Saf, I think that probably is. And wow, Scott Katamas is in the Zoom room too. Anyway, welcome everybody, and would love if you pop your thoughts and your comments in. I'll definitely respond to you and interact a little bit. I definitely love interacting with people. I'll also be checking out what's going on the Facebook page. So welcome everybody. And if you do want to come into the Zoom room, I've put the Zoom room link up. You'll find it on my profile page on Facebook. I've also put it into the chat box on Facebook. So welcome everybody. Well, it's Sacred Sunday, and I want to do a meditation with Reverend Michael. Reverend Michael Beckwith, someone that I've had the good fortune to know quite well for a long time. He's, of course, the founder of Agape International Church. And I first started going to Agape when he just started it. We were meeting in the basement of the Santa Monica Miramar Hotel on metal folding chairs, like 15 of us. And it's been amazing watching what he's created. And I've had the good fortune to interview him many times over the years. Anyway, we had him on Saturday Night Alive. And I actually played this last night. It's the only video that I played last night that I'm going to play also today, just because I think I always like to do a meditation. Usually I lead the meditation on Sunday mornings, but I'm definitely going to give way to Reverend Michael. So inviting us to just all kind of drop in. It's a short meditation and connect in. Look at that beautiful smile.
We want to wake up every single day with that sense of gratitude, walk with that feeling tone, and then we're pulled by something so magnificent about us. Now, let us enter into that field. I invite you to close the outer eye and begin to feel within your own heart and soul right now just a deep sense of gratitude for anything at all. A deep sense of thankfulness for anything at all. A deep sense of appreciation for anything at all. We begin to notice that when we are in gratitude and thanksgiving and dynamic appreciation, our perceptual windows become so clean and clear, and we're able to see better. We see through the parent's world, the world of effects and circumstances, and we recognize the smile of God in every through the parent's world. We recognize the bending of every tree to the divinity that's within us. We recognize the holy ground of the earth breathing its love for us. Our perceptual windows become so clean and clear. We recognize the presence that is never an absence. And now with a deep inhalation, and the release of the sigh of ah, we feel one with this presence. It's not separate. It's not distant. It's right here. It's right now, our life. And it is from this awareness that the very word that is being spoken right now is truly a vibrational law unto itself that only knows its own unfolding. Spoken with the authority of one knowing that all that there is a manifestation of the only thing that is, which is the light, the love, the beauty, and the intelligence, and the presence that is never absent. I embrace each and every individual that's tuning in right here and right now to this magnificent community, Saturday Night Alive community, knowing as I am lifted up into this rarefied atmosphere of absolute truth, I draw each and every individual into this frequency of wholeness, this quantum field of beauty and of love and intelligence, abundance, that we feel all of our needs met. We feel divine health and wholeness and well-being. We feel transcendent knowledge becoming active within us, creative intelligence. We feel duly supported, connected, and never neglected. We feel it in our bones, in our soul. And we come back again to giving thanks that it is already done in the quantum field. It's already done in the mind heart of the infinite. Now, we're allowing it to be done through us. And we're allowing it to be done as us. Our bones cry out, it is, therefore I am. It is, therefore I am. It is, therefore I am. And so let it be. And so it
It is, and so therefore I am. It is, therefore I am. And those few words are really worth contemplating on and reflecting. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Michael. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Lorna. Thank you, Terry. I actually have the volume up full blast on my end. Some of the audio recordings somehow in the process, and I think in that particular case, Reverend Michael's microphone was kind of low. We didn't get a chance to do a sound check. And yes, if you want Reverend Michael, of course, every Sunday morning, he has his incredible agape service. I do Sacred Sunday in the morning at 10, and I either listen to Reverend Michael beforehand, or sometimes if it's a short Sacred Sunday, I'll listen to the 11 o'clock service. So So I appreciate those of you that are with me now, and I also recognize a lot of you are watching the video replay, because that's the majority of people that watch my show watch the video replay. But I have a little more Reverend Michael for you. This is something that he shared that I really think is important. And so here's a little more Reverend Michael for you this morning.
I can remember a number of years ago when I had my first spiritual awakening. I was a student at USC, the psychobiology department, and I got killed in a lucid dream. And it was very excruciating. When I woke up, I could see the field, and I could see the presence that's never an absence. I could see the light and the love and the beauty and the intelligence shining everywhere and interpenetrating everything in existence. And I dedicated my life after that particular moment to discovering what had happened to me and to integrate and stabilize it so that I could be of service to it. So quite recently, about 3 weeks ago, I went into it again. I was about to do a Zoom class. When I got up to do the class, I was blind, I couldn't see. I was inundated by the light. The light surrounded me. It was infusing everywhere. It was so bright that I literally could not see. And I told Lee, I'm blind, I can't see right now. We delayed the class for a while. And after about a half hour, I was able to see this world and still be in the light. And what I saw in Lee, what I saw in Reverend Kathleen, what I saw in the beings that were around me, I could see the fountain of light oozing through their being. We are all, as Madhu was saying, we're all vibrational light beings, is our real nature. And in the unified field, or in the field of unity and oneness, there are whole patterns and prototypes and spiritual ideas that are unsullied, and they're beautiful and they're magnificent, and they have they're impervious to time and experience. And we are that light. That saying that we are the light is not metaphorical. It's not poetic. It's not prose. When we talk about who we are as the light, in the quantum field, we are a whole perfect idea. We're a one-of-a-kind, unique expression of infinite potential that is always seeking to express itself by means of us according to our unique pattern. And so when we talk about quantum healing, we're talking about going back to the source, going back to having a spiritual realization of our innate wholeness. And when that begins to happen, then the mental body, the emotional body, the subtle bodies come, and the physical body come in harmony with the celestial body, which is light itself, which is perfect. We see each other as whole emanations, unique, one-of-a-kind expressions of infinite potential. Because this presence that is never an absence, never does a do-over, it never repeats itself, and it got you right the very first time. So there's nothing incurable. There's only incurable people who refuse to step out of the paradigm of the fear, the doubt, the worry, out of the paradigm of they're just a body. As Madhuri mentioned to us, we are vibrational beings. So as we lift our frequency with prayer, we lift our vibration with meditation, we lift our vibration with visioning, we lift our vibration with sacred service, we lift our vibration with the chant and the music and the dance, we lift our vibration by falling in love moment by moment by moment with the presence that is never an absence. Our vibration is lifted. We stabilize that lift with practice. We integrate the lift with practice so that there's an integration that takes place with every insight that we have coming from the quantum field. And then our life changes. Sometimes moment by moment by moment over a period of time. That's called Kensho. Sometimes immediately, that's Satori. So between the movement of Kensho, a slow burn of cleaning up the filters, and the immediate Satori of, I got it, oh my God, it's happening now. Our life goes on an arc of unfoldment of which we are participating in. We're at the stage of our evolution. We're at the apex of an old form of evolution, the beginning of a new stage of evolution. The old form of evolution is that circumstances guide the evolution. The new form of evolution is that we participate in it. It's conscious evolution. We are participating in it regardless of condition, circumstance, situations. We choose by expanded awareness to tap into our wholeness, into that quantum field, and be conscious that the entire universe is for us and that there's nothing against us.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that's been wonderful about connecting with so many wisdom keepers from different races, backgrounds, ages, is honestly, there's certain messages that are very consistent. And one of those messages is what Reverend Michael just said at the very end there, that everything that's happening is actually happening for our benefit. Now, of course, it's hard to see that because we are in the illusion of separation. We're not in the, unless those of us who are highly enlightened, very, very few people are in the constant state of presence that, oh, we're all connected, we're all one. We have moments of oneness, we have moments of that awareness. The more we meditate, the more we do our practice, the more consistent we stay in that awareness. But very few people are there all the time. But when we're in that awareness, we remember, oh, that's right. This incredible cosmic dream that I'm a part of is actually quite glorious. It's quite magnificent. We've had Matt Kahn on the show 3 times, and he also came to our Holy Day party last week, which was really a nice surprise when he dropped in unexpectedly. And of course, Matt Kahn, his whole teaching, the name of his book is that everything is here to help you. And it's really important for us to remember that. I'm going to take a look and see. Yeah, thank you for all the chat. Terry, Lorna, Bonnie. So not only do we have great speakers like Krishna Das and Michael Beckwith, who are baby boomers, but we also have people that are millennials and women and amazing. And so I'm going to introduce you. This is actually someone who was on my Sacred Sunday show. She's been on Saturday Night Live twice and then did an entire hour with me on this show, Sacred Sunday. And I'm talking about Eden Amadora. And the most recent time she was on Saturday Night Live was our show about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And her history is interesting. She was a top model and kind of left the glamorous commercial world for the spiritual life and for the mystic life. She has a lot of wonderful wisdom. And I want to share some of that with you right now. So here's Eden Amadora.
Thank you so much, Deborah and Scott. It's great to be here again. And it's wonderful to be with so many beloveds I know and recognize. And to all of you who are tuning in, we're all beloveds. Ultimately, we're a soul family here. I just want to name the obvious that we're going through one of the most intense initiations that we've ever been through together. There's so many unknowns. There's so much fear in the collective mind field of Earth. And no one is immune. We're all in this great leap of faith. How are we going to get through this? And I liked how Pato earlier spoke about we're in the kindergarten phase here. Supposedly there's other more evolved star beings that are watching us saying, come on, you've got this, Earth children, awaken. And a wonderful spiritual teacher, Nisargadatta, said, we must remember our divine origins, our noble nature, and our glorious destiny. And after more than 10 years in a divine feminine mystery school and becoming a teacher in that school, I'm just starting to realize that it's not about divine feminine rising to take over again. And, you know, there's been some illusions amongst women in the empowerment movement, like move over men, you're messing up. We need to, come back in and heal this planet as the feminine, what I'm aware of is it's always about the balance, always. In fact, there's no healing needed between the divine masculine and divine feminine. They're doing fine. They are what is creating the entire manifest universe. The healing is just in the minds of men and women, the minds of humanity. A shamanic teacher once said to me, give your mind to your heart. Give your mind to your heart. We've put the mind on the altar, like in Nina's song. What if we just stop playing all those little games with our egos and all those little lies and all that polarity, duality, fight and flight, victim perpetrator consciousness that our egos think we need to survive? Because here we are at the threshold. We are beyond the 11th hour. We are in the final countdown here of whether we're going to awaken our hearts and see each other as family and beloveds, looking through this polarity consciousness that would have women say, the men are totally messed up. We need to step back into power. Looking through the illusion of power itself. I'm looking in my own life at where these patterns have been out of balance. I had an experience after a long time in the Divine Feminine Mystery School where I noticed the women commiserating and complaining and slandering the men. And I thought, there's something wrong here. We need to uplift each other. We need to empower each other and look for the divine in each other. Look for the beauty in each other. In fact, at the height of the Me Too movement, I went through my own personal disillusionment in a love story that left me in a deep, deep depression where I was enraged with the collective masculine in a state of blame and hatred and deep despair, sucked into the same conversation that something wrong with the men. There's nothing wrong with the men. We've been in a system of imbalance for millennia. Men have been the biggest victims of this system as cannon fodder on the front lines. For us as the collective feminine, to look at our brothers, our fathers, our beloveds, and to see that they're struggling to find center with us, and to have compassion and forgiveness. Just like Nina's song, can we apologize and not just say the words, but deeply hold each other through the grief. Hold each other through this intense initiation of coming into wholeness. And more than healing, recognizing it is about coming into our own balance and wholeness. I like to think of the divine masculine and the light side of our own embodiment as our truth, our sword of truth, our clarity, our ability to stand in our center and integrity, to speak up and use our words powerfully, to create new structures, to create a new world together. And our divine feminine rather, as this overflowing chalice, tears of mercy, milk of human kindness, waters of forgiveness, the ability to receive each other, to see each other through eyes of love. Imagine as emissaries and embodiments of the divine, when we stop genderifying at all, stop splitting and polarizing, like Pato said. He's like, I love my bubble baths. I love to nurture and take care of myself. Is that feminine, or is that just self-love? Maybe there's a place we're awakening to and evolving beyond the splitting and the polarizing altogether. We just see each other as embodiments of love. This is my path, looking at my own shadow masculine and shadow feminine patterns, where the shadow masculine wants to control, like yang, that just consumes and controls and burns down, and the shadow yin that just collapses and indulges and feels frozen and stuck. How do we take responsibility to bring our own selves into balance so we can be those chalices and those swords in our lives, speaking truth and staying open-hearted? This is the prayer I leave you with tonight and hold with you. So much love, everyone.
So much love. And again, notice how what our different speakers and presenters kind of weave together, sharing that the acknowledgement of what a difficult time this is on our planet, and that this is a critical time, it's the turning point, and that ultimately it's up to us, each and every one of us, to find the compassion, to find the empathy, to find that self-love. And remember that self-love is not selfish. Self-love is, the people that I've met that truly have good self-esteem, they naturally want to contribute to the well-being of others. People that are selfish don't. They're just all about themselves. But when we truly love ourselves, then we want to take care of others. We want to provide. We want to support. We're overflowing, and so that overflow is where we give to others. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Really appreciate those of you who are in the Zoom room and your chat, your comments. Thank you, Gretchen. Would love to hear more. Anything that anybody wants to share, please pop it into the chat. And greetings to everybody watching on Facebook, and greetings to all of you watching the replay. Some of you might be watching this years from now. That's the thing about these videos, they live forever. I know a lot of you watch on Alan Steinfeld's YouTube channel. Thank you. So I'm going to continue on with sharing another video. And this is with John Gray. And John is really an amazing guy. I've also known him for a long time. He lives in Marin, and I've lived in Marin most of the last 30 years until I moved up to just a little bit north into Hidden Valley Lake. John, of course, is most famous for writing Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, but he's written many, many best-selling books, and he's had a fascinating life. He's a very highly evolved man. Something he doesn't talk about in this video, but interesting about John. John's father was murdered. John's father, somebody robbed him and then locked him in the trunk of his own car so that he wouldn't report them, and he suffocated in the trunk of his own car. And John came to a worldwide forgiveness event that I attended. I actually helped to put on, and talked about that, and talked about his process of forgiveness for the people that not only murdered his father, but in a really rather horrible way. I remember John talking about how when he opened up the trunk of the car after the father, was gone, and he could see the scratch marks, imagining the desperation of his father trying to get out of the trunk for all those hours until he suffocated. Terrible. And yet John found the process of forgiveness. It's an incredible, incredible thing. And so John's a very powerful guy. And he talks here a lot. There's some really wonderful advice. This was from our show on relationship. And he talks a lot about relationship. He talks about testosterone and estrogen and hormones and healthy lifestyle. So let's hear from John. This is going to be about 17 minutes. So there's a lot of really great wisdom here.
And we have to honor this body, just as I eat healthy foods, I take supplements. I learned about all that 20 years ago. I had early stage Parkinson's, and I reversed that, understanding how to take extra supplements if your brain is having challenges. And mine did. Had a massive concussion in a car accident and various things, and I needed to restore. Sometimes we need extra help other than just good diet. So just as we have to honor the body to bring the spirit forth, we need to honor the hormones in our body. And what is the reality that nowhere it's taught? I was just writing a whole page of all the scientific references, and never when people talk about hormones do they reference behavioral things. And yet there are some studies that do show that, which is when you are feeling dependent on someone. And I love the music artist before, saying, you know, love is someone you can depend on, you can trust. They've got your back. They're there for you, just as my wife has always been there for me, and I'm there for her. That's the best side of us. That's where we're dependent on someone. Well, it turns out that when you depend on someone and you feel I can get what I need from them, it increases a hormone called estrogen. And for women to access their pineal gland and bring in the divine, their estrogen levels need to be about 10 to 20 times higher than the average man. And for men to access his pineal gland and bring in the divine, opening his heart to his highest self, to embody that, his testosterone levels need to be about 20 to 50 times more than a woman's. So what we understand through my work is that you can learn new behaviors, new ways of communicating that I can do to embrace the feminine in my wife and make sure her estrogen goes up, to embrace the masculine and make sure his testosterone goes up, which is the speakers tonight all did that. By men are not all bad. Certainly there's a few bad ones out there, but oh my gosh, these are the guys who give their lives to save their families. There's the guys in a hurricane that are out there in their trucks giving out food and protecting people and doing the dirty, dangerous, difficult stuff. And unfortunately, a system that doesn't reward men can bring out the worst of men, because testosterone is necessary for men's positive behavior, and he needs to be rewarded for what he does, acknowledged for what he does. And without that reward and acknowledgement, his testosterone goes down. And then he goes into a stress reaction. For women, when their estrogen goes down, they go into a stress reaction. And when you're in a stress reaction, you're now the victim of reactive brain, the conditioning that we're all born with, just as I was born with my father's nose and my mother's eyes. The whole heritage of my lineage is in there from back to monkeys. So couples end up looking like monkeys sometime. So the benefit of balancing those hormones through behaviors, and one of behavior, I have hundreds of them in my books, is men, listen, be present. I love that talking about. Ask questions, a practical tip. When your wife's talking, before you say anything, help me understand that better. Tell me more. What else? Is there anything more? And women, when you're sharing with a man and something triggers inside of you, try to hold back from trying to change his point of view, and instead, and this is good for both genders, look at what's good in what they're saying and acknowledge it, even though you might disagree with other things, something along the lines of, that's a good idea. Well, that makes sense. I don't have the same point of view, but I really, it must be amazing to look at the world that way. Be amazed, be in awe, be appreciative. Ultimately, whenever you feel appreciated, whether you're a man or woman, your testosterone goes up. And if you feel cared for and someone understands you and respects you as an equal and honors you, that brings up your feminine energy. And as many people have spoken tonight, as a man, I have both, okay? And I have the freedom to be in both. That's spirituality. And I talk about this, and I was inspired for my Beyond Mars and Venus book, because one day I was meditating. I meditate for hours every day. I love it. I'm a professional, 50 years, you know, so I do hours. And then suddenly a booming voice spoke to me. This never happened before. It's never happened since. A booming voice spoke to me. And the tone in that voice was so powerful and so gentle and kind and loving and nurturing, and the power of confidence and selflessness. In that moment, I experienced the divine masculine and the feminine as one, and realized that that is what I'm to teach. Helping women, which today often are challenged because their tendency is for them, when you're free to be on your male and female side, which is our more enlightened society, what happens is it's easier for a man to go over to his female side. It's easy. Sit and watch a football game, drink some beer, play video games, do some online porn. Any of that stuff massively increases estrogen and decreases your testosterone, lowering your masculinity to respect femininity. Whenever a man is angry, whenever he's arguing, whenever he's mad, his estrogen levels are surging, his testosterone is going down. He needs time to recover, hence the ideas in my books being quite popular. Men in their caves, he needs to go to his cave. Stop talking at those times, because whenever you talk, your estrogen goes higher if you're talking about emotions and feelings. Basically speaking, when you have positive emotions, men, your estrogen levels are about equal to your testosterone levels. You've found your balance, your heart is open. But when your estrogen surges above, you tend to either withdraw, or if you stay interacting, you get angry, you get defensive, you get argumentative. That's the time for a timeout. Practical techniques. And for women, when a guy's angry, it's good to just, if you can stay centered, it's fine to hear what he says. But if he's plugging you in, which generally happens, triggers something, it's good to take a time out. And often women instinctively want to ask questions to engage a man at that time, because if he was to ask questions, engage her, her estrogen would go up, her stress levels would go down, blood flow would go to the front forehead, to the pituitary gland, and suddenly our heart is open. So those are some ideas around that. So the biological basis of our growing and enlightenment is finding this hormone balance, not taking hormones, doing those behaviors, setting those mindsets, interacting with others in a way that triggers those hormones. Now, if you're alone and single and you're a woman, you're more on your independent side. That's always going to stimulate more testosterone. So it's important to know the behaviors that can increase estrogen so you can find that balance. And then if you're alone, and you have to basically find those behaviors that will trigger your testosterone, because it's so easy to be at home and zone out watching Netflix, do pornography, online sex. You know, this is all proven to reduce your testosterone levels by 50%. So there's ways we can build our testosterone. For example, for me, it's meditation is a testosterone rebuilder. Working out in the gym is a testosterone rebuilder. Driving my car, anything that challenges you that you embrace is a testosterone rebuilder. For women, anytime you can seek out nurturing support. If you go walk in a forest and you feel connected with the nature, you're feeling supported by that. Anytime you get to do something, you enjoy doing something, you like to do something, that's going to stimulate estrogen. When you're in that place of I have to do this, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough support, it's all up to me, that's your testosterone world. Your adrenaline and cortisol is being produced at that moment, and you can't access your pineal gland to open your heart. So these are biological realities we want to honor in our body. The future of relationships, we have these traditional roles that help men build their testosterone and women build their estrogen. The old traditional thing of the man providing and the woman receiving. That's still in us. Those are the hormones of providing is testosterone, receiving is estrogen. However, now we can go back and forth, and that's a soulmate relationship, a relationship where we are challenged on an emotional level. See, and soulmate and role-mate relationships, primarily it's for survival and security. But once we can provide our own survival and security, as Maslow stated, we get to a higher level of need. We're in a place where we need more emotional support. That becomes just as important as food. And that emotional support I have labeled as, in my books, helping women come back to their female side, because every woman that's come to my office over 40 years has felt overwhelmed because she's too far on her male side, how to come back to their female. And what men can do is come back to their masculine side through relationship by learning how to honor the feminine. Because when I would honor Bonnie and her feminine side, hear her feelings, validate her feelings, do things for her, share with her, not that she didn't do that for me, but when I would do that, my own female side would come up along with my masculine, and I'd find that beautiful balance that would awaken heartfelt interaction. So we have the soulmate as primarily relationships which have a higher threshold of need. And so you go through all these moments, the ups and downs of relationships where you get triggered by your partner, and you overcome that trigger by finding love for your partner, love for yourself. And then you get to the twin soul relationship. I'd say the last 10 years of my marriage with Bonnie was my twin soul relationship with her, where we were in harmony literally almost all the time. And it wasn't just, you know, learning to accept your partner. It was a passionate relationship. It had great sex. It was fantastic. It was monogamous. And what I believe is the greatest sex is monogamy, because it creates a sense of deep, deep commitment and safety for women to feel special, that she is the number one. And that when she feels that safety, I feel the number one because I'm providing that for her. And there's a many, many beautiful women in the room and in the world but the only one I want to be with is my wife. And that can be achieved particularly through good relationship skills outside the bedroom, balancing the hormones through communication and through great sex. And we're able to achieve that harmony almost all the time of twin souls. So now we're going to move on to new communication skills to awaken the divine masculine and feminine. A quick little game I suggested last time is called Genie in the Bottle. If you're gay, straight, whatever, everybody can do this if somebody to do it with, which is for 20 minutes. The person who's more on their female side basically is powerless. They can't do anything for themselves. And whatever they want, they have to ask their partner. And their partner on the male side will provide whatever they say. And basically, would you empty the dishwasher, for example? And your partner say, absolutely, I'll do it in a moment with a big smile. And you try to ask for as many things as possible. Would you go get your favorite oil, and would you give me a foot massage? Or would you cook dinner and now serve me and every bite give to me? It's very fun where she's experiencing, I have a need and I have a genie that will fulfill it instantly. So that's a fun game to do to help balance those hormones in our body. And finally, tantric sex, the ultimate ecstasy of monogamy. There's so many of my friends who do, I started teaching enlightened sexuality and tantra back in 1979. I was a celibate monk and went from there because I was hadn't had sex. Now suddenly sex was fascinating to me. So now I wanted to create discussion groups of what makes sex great. And of course, it turns out that it's always the love. And there's a lot. And then I studied 10 years in China, Taoist sex. I studied in India, I've been there 32 times, tantric sex, meditation, all those various things. And to a great extent, they're all out of date because they don't emphasize the power of love and openness and transparency and passion. And that comes not by doing meditation, breathing techniques to bring the energy up. It's about being present with your partner, understanding her biological needs, his biological needs, and feeling the energy in your heart and having conversation. I just want to say to women, I won't go that far. I know my time's pretty much up, but ultimately—
Say it, John, say it. Go ahead, go for it.
Well, there's so much to say, but I'll say that one little point. Today, there's so much pressure on women dating men to have sex right away. And then they usually complain to me, he disappears afterwards, because men, before they're going to bond with you fully, see, they start out south as the triangle thing. We start out down here and go up here. And if we just have sex with you, we like ourselves more, but not you. We need to connect with our heart first with you. We need to have conversation with you. We need to hear you and still be turned on to you. That will create lasting interest. So don't rush right into the sexual experience, please. If you've had a pattern of men disappearing on you, and I see it so common because there's so much pressure on women to seek to hold the man, to please the man by offering what he wants. But many men want sex. What they really don't know is what they need is love. And it's through having a relationship. And when you are sharing on the mind level first, then the heart level, then the physical level, you have to get all those levels in there. And ultimately on the spiritual level, when you have all three, you have that awakening. And when it comes to the whole idea of tantric sex, I see so many people completely diluting the message of it. The bottom line of it, and this is only a basic thing, it's men learning to be multi-orgasmic and never needing to ejaculate. If a man ejaculates, his testosterone goes down 50%. So you're looking at me, and I was celibate for 9 years, so I learned how to do it. And then you learn how to do it when you're making love. This is a new experience for men. This is the enlightened sexuality. This is beyond what most couples experience. But even if you're going to have regular sex, make sure it's loving. And here's this little bit of research that came out of Japan, which is amazing to me. If you have regular sex with someone you love brings up estrogen. The passion is the testosterone. So you basically have sex. For a man, his testosterone will go down 50%. It cuts down 50%, and it takes 6 days for it to double again. So many couples lose interest because they had too much sex. And of course, they don't have good relationship skills that can do it. So just if you do anything too much, it's not good. Anything not enough is not good. But there are wonderful books out there. I have courses on and classes on it, how you can, as a man, train yourself to not be like a monkey and ejaculate every time, because we're addicted to that. We think we have to do that, and experience the rising waves of orgasm and orgasm, which if you can be that focused and present during sex without having it be more about you than her, she can let go of her mind and go fully into her body and experience again and again what the French call a little death. And that's learning to help a woman experience the full experience of her orgasmic potential through a man who understands what she needs and a woman who understands how she needs to let go and trust her man. But you can't get that place if you don't have the love. The whole key is to find the love. And then the old-fashioned techniques are not so significant. We are a different race now, or a different consciousness now, where emotional fulfillment is our primary need to lower stress so we can connect with our pineal gland. And this is all very biologically tested and proven. It's been such a joy to share some of these ideas so quickly. And I want to invite people to join me at my website, marsvenus.com, for a free class. I'm getting rave reviews back in the day when I wrote Men Are From Mars. Wherever I went, people loved the book. Well, now people are loving this course, and it's free. It's 4 days. You see the beautiful woman to the side. That's my daughter, Lauren. She's been teaching these ideas for 10 years, and as a proud father, I have to say she does a better job than me. But she learned from me. She's got a great relationship. You know, people always said, oh, she'll never find a man because you're such a great father. I said, no, she has the role model that men can be trusted. Men are to be appreciated. And she found a guy that puts me to shame. He's an amazing husband, and I'm so grateful. Well, I'm grateful I helped her find him. So I'm happy. I'm happy that she has found the love of her life. And I think that if to the great extent as couples with our children, if we can be good role models of good communication, we can ensure that our children will find lasting love as well. So thank you for letting me be here, Scott and Deborah. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And I've just so enjoyed the evening, and I'll continue watching. Thank you.
Well, thank you, John.
Yeah, you know, John did stay on that whole show. And that was back when we were supporting fire victims, people that lost their homes in the wildfires. And John donated $1,000 to the fire victim for that particular night, and stayed on to the very, very end. And that was a long show. That particular show, I remember, went about 3.5 hours. And he was there moving to the music and singing along and jumped in a couple times. It was really, really beautiful. And we love that when people like that, even though he's a celebrity, they come in and they get caught up in the show. Some of our celebrities have said, like Lynn Twist, have said, you know, I watch your show even when I'm not on it. I just love that show. And that means a lot. That feels really, really good. Well, I'm going to show one more video. And, you know, of course, every show we do is important to me. Every speaker we have is precious, and every musician just uplifts me. But I gotta say that probably this last video I'm going to show this morning is the most significant. It's with Andrew Harvey, who I have tremendous respect for. And if you don't know who Andrew Harvey is, he's really a true treasure. His father was the ambassador to India from Britain. And so Andrew grew up in India, very extreme aristocracy, wealthy British ambassador, right? But he also had all these Hindu and East Indian teachers and housekeepers and such. And it began his lifelong interest in understanding multiple and different cultures. He went on to learn several different languages. He's written dozens of best-selling books, and he's collaborated with many of the world's great spiritual teachers and thinkers, including the Dalai Lama. He has translated the Gospel According to Thomas, which is one of the lost books of the Bible that they recently found. And it's just quotes from Thomas about Jesus. It's just direct quotes from Jesus. And it paints a really fascinating picture of who Jesus really was. Kind of a revolutionary. And he's a fascinating man and extraordinary, incredibly wise. And these are his 7 tips for making our way through this crazy time of COVID. I've replayed this a couple times since we did this with him over the summer. And if you've seen it before, stay and watch it again. And if you haven't seen it, you definitely want to make sure that you watch what he has to say, because it's wisdom from, well, really, truly a living saint. So here we go with Andrew Harvey. It just takes me a moment to pull these up. And thank you, Gretchen, Deborah, Jasmine. Really appreciating all of you for your comments. I'm just seeing them right now. Terry. Oh, cool. Great, great comments. Thank you, everybody. All right. Here is Andrew Harvey.
I would like to share with you 7 tender suggestions as to how to live this absolutely insane and extraordinary period that we found ourselves in. A period in which it is quite obvious something is dying in horror and pain and agony, and something amazing, potentially, if we really work with it, is being born. I believe the meaning of this is that the mother is giving us time, you and I, to regroup at the deepest possible level so as to become calm and joyful and passionate and compassionate and strong enough to really, when this cloud of the coronavirus starts to dissipate, step up and serve her in sacred activism with the fullness of all we are. The first suggestion, and this is quite a strong suggestion from your old uncle, is that you stay safe, because you are going to be needed. We're going into a long, bitter, brutal, amazing, frightening, extraordinary struggle for the future of the planet. And it's going to need the seekers safe and whole and well. Be aware that this is a virus that could very well mutate. Be aware that there are other viruses out there. There are 1,400 coronaviruses carried by the bats, and there are other potential pandemics. Don't panic. Keep safe. My second tender suggestion is to make sure that although you are in lockdown, that you do what I call small acts of mercy, small acts of deep compassion. You know that there are people starving. You know that there are homeless on those streets who are so terrified of going to shelters because they're petri dishes for this virus. You know that there are friends of yours who are going through suicidal depression because they're waking up to the extremity of the situation that we're in. Make sure that you help in whatever way is appropriate for you, and do so with joy and gratitude that you can, and something amazing will start growing in you. My third suggestion is that you deepen passionately and focusedly your spiritual practice. This is a time in which those who have for years and years done serious practice are doing well despite everything that's exploding out there. Because through the grace of the beloved and through the grace of the efforts that we've made out of love for the beloved, we're being fed calm, we're being fed joy, we're being fed radical insight into the nature of this crisis. And that is keeping us steady. So if that hasn't been flashed out in the core of your heart, that deathless certainty of your own deathless truth, practice, 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 practice. Because I know that there is an immense wave of grace coming to us from the core of God to give us that next level of our realization, to equip us for the work of birthing the birth in the middle of the death ahead, and that this shutdown is the time in which, if we practice with deepest devotion and passion, we will make the most astounding progress. This is happening to me. I have made more inner progress in these last 2 months than I've made in the last 10 years, because I've known that the time is now. And in turning to the Beloved, I found that the Beloved has given me absolutely extraordinary radiance of peace and of joy and of focus. The fourth suggestion is, I found it absolutely essential to what I call stay aware. Look, terrible things are coming down. I don't have to enumerate them. They're exploding on your television screens. You know them. But also amazing things are appearing. So what we're being asked to do is to stay aware of this astounding alchemical process that we're now all in which we're being devastated and redeemed, slaughtered and reborn at the same time. So what's needed for all of us is to build this container to be able to contain these opposites without veering to despair or veering to too floaty, magical thinking, staying stable, watching, really contemplating, but asking most of all, and I think this is the most important thing that I could say to you, asking for the grace from the Beloved to develop what I call birth eyes. What's really important for sacred activists and for all people who want to be of service to the future is to pray for the divine insight to be able to see where the birth is appearing, and it's appearing. It's appearing in all the acts of courage I've been talking about. It's appearing in the extraordinary visions that is appearing amongst generals, amongst business people, of the kind of world that we're going to have to create if we're going to be able to preserve the world. An immense tragedy has caused an immense urgency, and the immense urgency has engendered a new set of crystallized, pragmatic, very noble visions, which will need our total support. They're coming, they're here, and they're longing for you to recognize them, because when you recognize them, you will be filled with a rugged, noble hope. The fifth suggestion is a very important one I found. It's very important to grieve. So when grief comes to you, when heartbreak reveals itself as a possibility in your heart, don't indulge in happy talk. Don't think that there's anything weird about heartbreak. Realize that heartbreak is the sign that you have a heart at all. It's like the Tin Man in Dorothy who says, no, I know I have a heart because it's breaking. You're only heartbroken, and you're not using that heartbreak or letting that heartbreak guide you into a vaster compassion and a deeper focus on what you can do to bring in and sustain the structures that could end those injustices. You're not divine. So allow yourself time to grieve. Heartbreak is sacred. It won't kill you. It won't drive you mad. It will make you more human, kinder, more loving, more passionate about justice, and braver if you let it. It's a divine gift sent to ennoble you. The sixth suggestion, and I know all of you know this, but it's so sacred at this moment. It's as if in the middle of all of this tragic agony that we're living, the Mother is joining us again in tribes, in networks of grace, as if she's forming out of the decay these new alignments that, if we stay with them, if we realize the gift of what we've been given and truly cultivate at a much deeper level than we've ever done before, the sacred power of friendship, the sacred power that comes from loving our animals with a deeper love, then we will go out into the new world that will appear, and it'll be a bloody world, a difficult world, a brutal world. We'll go out flanked with people whose spirits will be supporting us and whose spirits we will be supporting for the great struggle to birth a new way of being and doing everything. Note the ultimate nature of reality is bliss. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, forgive me if I quote Sanskrit scriptures, but it's all there, baby. In the Taittiriya Upanishads, it says, from the great bliss, all things arise. In the great bliss, all things are sustained. And to the great bliss, all things return. That isn't poetry. That is the experience you have when you awaken. That is the experience that you have in an unforgettable and overwhelming way, which forever changes your life, when through the grace of the beloved, you are initiated into the ultimate truths of reality. But what that experience should lead us to do, especially at a time like this, is to cultivate daily joy, to really tune our whole being to that ultimate reality so that we can bring into the middle of the burning world presences lit up by the golden light of the joy that doesn't need anything because it comes straight from the truth, straight from the source. And turn to the source of joy wherever you find it and worship beauty as the sister of joy, whether it's in music or in the eyes of a friend or in the light shining in the summer in the core of a tree. Wherever it is, know that it is beauty itself kissing you. Know it is the joy, the ananda of the Godhead that's reaching out to you. And let that joy give you strength, give you courage, give you chutzpah, give you peace. And keep calm, carry on.
I mean, that segment is worth listening to every day. It's the manual of how to make our way through these times from as wise a man as I've ever known. And I've been blessed to know a lot of wise men, wise people. Don't even want to make it a gender. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Zoom Room friends, for coming in and sharing this with me. Yeah, Andrew Harvey. In each and every one of these people, so many amazing wisdom keepers. So, you know, if you ever want to watch any of the shows, they're all, just go to Love Coach Academy page, the Love Coach Academy page, click videos. You can just scroll and take a look at all the amazing shows that we do. I mean, we do 7 or 8 shows a week. I see Deborah Howland was with us. She has a show she does every Thursday. And of course, I've got the weekend shows that I do Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. Anyway, thank you, everybody, as we approach the new year. Hey, Sun and Al, fantastic. They edited this. So I just noticed Sun and Al coming up in the chat box here. My dear old friends, I've known Sun and Al since, I think Lincoln was president when we first met. And they've been editing for me ever since they created video editing. I think Alan and Son has been doing editing projects with me over the years. So love you guys so much. All right. Well, final days of 2020. What a year. And may we really embody the wisdom of John Gray and Andrew Harvey and all of our dear friends. And please continue to watch our shows. We've got some really great ones coming up. Much love to each and every one of you. Take Take care. Happy New Year, everybody. And we'll see you next weekend.